Introduction. Once upon a time, I owned a farm with a lofty 80-year-old barn. When visitors came to the farm store located inside the huge barn to purchase farm goods, they almost always stayed longer than planned. Some would just stand beside the store door, listening to a pleasant and increasingly rare type of not quite silence, that of an old barn in the country. Except for the sounds of very occasional motor traffic passing by, the most prevalent sound was the chirping of house sparrows. To this farmer, the house sparrow, a non-native imported from Britain early in America's history, is a pest. They are insanely prolific, and their droppings are an endless source of mess, requiring scraping and cleaning on already too busy days. I sometimes forget, however, that others may have a different perspective. I therefore found it intriguing when folks seemed compelled to stop, look, and listen, obviously captivated by the antics of birds, which I still consider to be a serious nuisance. Sometimes a visitor's silent regard was broken by an occasional "ah," or a finger pointing to a nest for the purpose of drawing another's attention to it. For me, such moments are elicited by the flight of something as magnificent as a bald eagle. Nevertheless, I often silently shared the visitor's moments without comment, trying to reframe this everyday scene through their eyes. These visitors were experiencing a moment of biophilia. This term originated with, and was frequently used by, early 20th century social psychologist Erich Fromm as a description of a particular psychological orientation. Fromm writes, "I believe that the man choosing progress can find a new unity through the development of all his human forces, which are produced in three orientations. These can be presented separately or together: biophilia, love for humanity and nature, and independence and freedom." This term enjoyed contemporary popularization by biologist E.O. Wilson in his seminal work, Biophilia, and further in the biophilia hypothesis. Wilson's focus with the use of this term was primarily on love of nature. As an avid entomologist whose life passion was ants, Wilson traveled the world and while doing so witnessed countless examples of humans gravitating toward an enormous variety of plants and animals without necessarily utilizing them for survival. Human love of nature seemed apparent to him in so many instances he felt compelled to expand upon Fromm's earlier discourse. I will take this theme one step further. In biology, scholars who are involved in the classification of plants and animals, called taxonomy, are often informally categorized by their decision-making strategies. Some are called lumpers, others labeled as splitters. Folks likely to favor assignment of subspecies status to a bird population because they exhibit a slightly different call than their fellows 200 miles away would be considered splitters. Other researchers might consider the qualities of the song to be an irrelevant dialect, just an interesting colloquial rendition of the old tune. They would insist that no warrant for division exists. These folks would, of course, be the lumpers. When considering my own tendency in the writing of this book, I have determined myself to be a splitter. Rather than humans sharing an innate tendency to be attracted to all nature in general, to all animals in general, I wish to divide this tendency into separate parts. I believe that there is much support for this splitting, and that humans have a predisposition to orient themselves visually, physically, cognitively, and psychologically towards certain types of natural environments and certain types of animals. In the ancestral past, To do otherwise would often have proven to be a low fitness move. A healthy avoidance of venomous creatures and a healthy curiosity to useful, non-harmful ones would have certainly aided our ancestors in passing on their genes. The attraction to the useful animals, useful for mental, physical, and emotional survival, will be the focus of this book. I have chosen to call human feelings and cognitions about such animals Zoodulcis. I believe that the farm visitors mentioned earlier were feeling this Zoodulcis. Zoodulcis is a combination of two words, one for the subject matter and one for cognitions about that subject matter. Zoo is defined as indicating animals. Dulcis is defined in many dictionaries as agreeable, delightful, pleasant, soft, sweet, friendly, charming, kind, and can be experienced as either a cognition, the meaning inherent in this work, or as a sensory experience, such as the Dulcis experienced when indulging in a delightful dessert. The farm visitors mentioned may have come from city or suburban environments deficient in moments of spontaneous interaction with, even if only an observation, sweet, charming, delightful wild birds. Urban environments are especially impoverished in such sights and sounds, and, although annoying to me as a farmer, house sparrows do count as watchable wildlife. The chirping of house sparrows going about their activities does not fall harshly upon the ear. They are not so elusive as to require specialized equipment to identify and observe them. It is in their very nature to ignore humans or to use them for handouts, causing many outdoor dining establishments to display tabletop signs stating, "Please do not feed the birds."